Hello, this is going to show how to use a roster to upload your students to your Sofia course so you can quickly add students to Sofia. So when you're at your course, you're going to click the wheel here to access your course settings. Click Student Management. Go ahead and click Import Students. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and get yourself a file. And it should be a CSV file, ideally, comma separated file, .csv. And you're going to need to have the field order of student ID, then the student's first name, last name, middle initial, and email. And the student ID must always be unique. The student ID is what we use as our unique identifier within our database, so that any student that comes in or is added must be unique, or that student will be rejected in the database as already being there. So an example would be this file here, and we'll include a basic example of this file along with any setup information that we send. But you're going to have your student ID, which is here. This would be your student ID. You're going to have your first name. So student's first name is going to be new. You're going to have your last name of the student, which would be student, middle initial B, email astern@linksystems.com. So what we're going to do with this CSV file here, we're going to do an add based on this file, and then we're going to see this student, new student, be added to the course. So if we look at the current course roster, we see that the student is not there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Import Students. We're going to make sure our document conforms to the field order. Then we're going to go ahead and make sure we've got a comma delimited file. And then we're going to choose the file, making sure I choose that CSV version. Then I'm going to hit Import. And my import's going to say, hey, alert, the user student ID is not valid. Of course, student ID is not valid. Student ID is our name of our, and that email there is the email that the student would receive saying that they were added to the course. It says 2 students attempted because it tried to add student ID, but student ID isn't valid. 1 student added. All right, great. So let's go ahead and let's jump back. And let's go ahead and refresh the page. And we'll see that new student is now there. Great. All right, so let's go ahead and try this again. So let's go ahead and add our notional other student. We'll call this student Bob New. We'll also give the student the same email. Now you'll notice you can have multiple students share the same email because that's not a unique identifier. The unique identifier here, as you are going to see shortly, is this number here. I'm not removing 155271 from this list, and you're going to see what Sofia says whenever I try to add it. And this is a real convenient. So if you just had a student that you just added to your roster, you could still push that same roster. Sofia is going to reject the other 99 students you had already added and just add that 1 student. So let's go ahead and click on Import Students once more. Make sure we've got our document order lined up. Student ID, first name, last name, middle initial, email. Okay, everything's lined up. And then we're going to go ahead and choose our file. We're going to choose the CSV version because it's comma delimited. And we're going to say import this file. And then watch what's going to happen. It says, hey, alert, student ID, right? And then it says, warning, student 155271 is already in this class. And then, of course, I got an email. So it said 3 students attempted, because it includes the student ID. 1 student added, and you saw the email that came to me. 1 student was added, which was 155272. And if we go ahead and refresh, there, we'll just go ahead and go back. Excuse me. Jump back here, we hit refresh, and we see that Bob New, student 2, has been added. So that's how you go ahead and you add students to Sofia. Just click on the import students and then just get your roster synced up. And like I said, we'll send a blank CSV version where all you need to do is line up what your student ID is, your first name, last name, so on. That way you can just send that document right on in with, copy and paste your information into the document for your class. and then go ahead, hit import students, and send that off. And then each student's going to get an email, and I'll show you what that email looks like. So here's the email that Bob New got. It says, hey, you've been registered to Sofia. Your user ID is 155272, right? There you go. And you get a temporary password. And then all Bob is going to have to do is log in with that temporary password. He will have to change it, and it will have to conform to proper password regulations and standards. And then Bob is in your class, ready to go, ready to interact with Sofia, just like that. So that is how you use your roster and add students to Sofia and give them immediate access to your class and their Sofia content. Thank you very much.